Hi, good morning, and welcome everybody to the sixth edition of She the People's Digital Women Awards. We are, due to the pandemic, stuck at home, and our session is virtual this year. But like every year, this year too, we are shining a light on women entrepreneurs who are bringing innovation to the field of business and who are motivated enough to be game changers in the market and in the world. Going forward with the motto of make small strong, we have on our panel today five solopreneurs, women who are helming their own solo businesses in very, very significant sectors, from food to boutique designs to makeup, weddings, everything. And I mean, it's a quite a brilliant and a colorful mix that we have today. I'm so honored to be moderating you guys. I'm Tanvi. I'm representing She the People today. A big, big welcome to all of you. I'm just going to start by introducing each of our panelists, and then we'll take the conversation forward. So, first, we have with us Aarti Kapoor. She is the founder of A Charmed Life. It is a platform that empowers women entrepreneurs and curates sustainable fashion and design brands, which is also, in fact, our DWA tagline for this year, which is Make Small Strong. Next, we have Aarti Samant on the panel. She's the founder of Masala Tokri. It's a chemical-free, fresh, and authentic flavored spice platform, which is keeping alive the traditional secrets of Indian spices. Next, we have Nikki Thakker. She is the founder at Entisi Chocolatier. She is the creator of artisanal chocolates, and she's based out of Mumbai. I mean, it's already such a brilliant mix: chocolates, spices, and next we have Ranjani Iyenger. She is the founder of Pink Whistleman. It's a boutique wedding invite design studio, and I recognize the name from one of the Enid Blyton books, and we can chat with Ranjani later, on how she incepted the name. And last on the panel, we have Bianca Louzado. She is the founder of Code Beauty. She's a makeup and hair design artist, and she is renowned for her work with celebrity circles in Mumbai. Welcome, ladies, and I am Tanvi Akhauri. I'm going to be your moderator for this morning. A big and very, very warm welcome to all of you in these dropping temperatures. And let's just get right into it. Starting out as solopreneurs, what was it like? What motivated you all, to go down the business road? And how did the inception turn to germination of your ideas? Just tell me a bit about your journey, and we can start with anybody, and everybody can have a go, one after the other. Aarti Kapoor, how about we start with you?
Hi, Tanvi. Hi, everybody. So my journey has been quite an interesting one. I was a private banker for about 8 years, and then when I got married, I wanted to, embark on my entrepreneurial journey. And I belong to a family where business runs in our genes, and having learned the best practices from industrialists that I was dealing with through my private banking, I felt that there was so much that I could apply to whatever I put in, whatever I picked up. And along the way, I started looking out for women entrepreneurs who were struggling to do things because they were either creative. So I believe very strongly that you can either be very creative or you can have a very sharp business bent of mind. You can't do both. You may be able to do it because you have the ability to, but you have very limited resources and time as an individual, and that I think all solopreneurs on this platform would agree. So I started off consulting women entrepreneurs and sustainable fashion and design brands. And then along the way, the pandemic hit, and I wanted to do something more. So we launched A Charmed Life, the e-commerce platform, which was like a platform to help them sell their products. Because usually, these smaller brands rely very heavily on pop-ups and trunk shows, and of course, because of the pandemic, that's not happening anytime soon. So we just wanted to support them in every way. and we wanted to curate good brands that people would have access to across clothing, across fashion, across children's products, because I'm a new mom. Along the way, I discovered some really nice small brands that made fantastic wooden toys or sustainable products. So I wanted to reach out to everyone with those. And we also have tied up with Creative Dignity to bring artisanal products on board. So that's another thing, that we are helping artisans sell their products directly to people, and that's very exciting for us right now.
Awesome. Sounds very, very interesting. Ranjani, how about we have you next? Tell us your story.
So mine was actually not an intentional entrepreneurial journey. Again, I started off in an IT industry, and then I moved to marketing and communication, into corporate marketing and communication. And that's when I realized all my skills that I learned as an artist when I was younger, I like to apply that very differently in terms of communication. Like, I didn't want to restrict it to like the standard guidelines that are usually available. So that's how I started reinventing a lot of communication even within my organization when I was working in an MNC. And like, that really got me going in terms of how, I brought in this whole cartoon series, and that sort of became like widespread within the organization, and it used to go out in their newsletter. And because of this, I realized I had to upskill and learn a lot of digital graphics and everything, because I had to translate what I'm doing on paper to a digital platform. And so I would sit and watch like hours of YouTube and just learn how to Photoshop and illustrate things on my tablet and things like that. And gradually, I realized this passion sort of extended itself to other people's, like, say, logos. I would do stuff for my friends, and it was just like a small time thing. But then gradually, I realized that this was something that I was really interested in, and I wanted to expand it to something where there were no limits in terms of being creative. And because whatever it is, when it's a logo or branding or brochures, you have like a limitation. You can't extend yourself. That's when I discovered weddings. People were completely open, and everyone wanted something that's never been done before. So that sort of helped me stretch my imagination and like come up with products like board games for invitations, or come up with, like, say, x-rays for invitations, using like automobile parts for invites. And these were things that my clients were really open to, and which is how I started building a brand. And the name Pink Whistleman, obviously it was my ghost name when I used to write my diary, and because I was such a huge fan of the book myself, and like I could sort of resonate with the character, because I used to feel like he brings a little bit of magic into every situation that he was in. And that's pretty much what I wanted to do with every wedding as well. And that's how it just evolved as a brand. And it was also easier to have a face, have a brand and hide behind it and sort of illustrate, because as an artist, I think you're always questioning yourself and you're doubting how your work comes out eventually. But gradually this grew as a brand, and then that's when I started focusing on trying to make this into an e-commerce model also, and keep like a premium clientele which I service one-on-one. So I try to balance the two, and that's how this whole brand sort of evolved.
Awesome. Very, very, very interesting. Nikki, how did chocolates come about, and how did it turn into a business? You're muted. Yeah. Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So I again, like the other two panelists, I also did not think or start as learning to be a chef. I have a master's in economics and a master's in management from London School of Economics. Despite having many opportunities to have worked with investment bankers and other banks, I decided to start something of my own. And why it was chocolates is because while the time I was in the UK, I was obviously exposed to a lot more chocolates and desserts, the way we don't yet see it in India. And it really surprised me that a country like India, which has so much potential and is known for building softwares and satellites, cannot make simple chocolates, like a simple salted caramel bonbon, which is just delicious and melts in your mouth. That's where it struck me, and I said I wanted to bring a brand to India which people can be proud of for chocolates. That's how my journey started. I did not go to a culinary school to become a chef. Um, I went and learned, had hands-on training with the master chocolatiers in Europe, and I did a lot of hands-on training by myself. So not having a set curriculum made me read a lot more, and research a lot more, I would say. But I think it was all worth it, and the whole idea was to bring a chocolate brand that people can be proud of, that this is an Indian chocolate brand. So that's how it started.
Well, while our mouths are still watering, let's go to Aarti Samant. And Aarti, tell us how Masala Tokri came about.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. So, my journey, in fact, my background is all about. I started off in social media. I started off in an advertising agency. From there, I shifted to Hotstar. And while I was so busy dabbling, making my career, I sort of couldn't ignore what my mom was creating in the backdrop, right? So, to give a bit of a background, she is a culinary expert, but like as a home chef, but she did study spices, and she was so passionate about it that she would keep experimenting her blends. She would keep sending it to me, and she would keep sending it to her friends and friends of network. And it came to a point where she almost had created this network of women who happily came, took orders. They went to her friends from Dubai, London. They kept coming, and they literally went back with 10 kilos, 20 kilos of spices with them. And I was like, wait a minute, mom, what are you doing? What exactly is happening here? And then when I noticed the difference, obviously, just again looking at India as a country, we are the land of spices. But if you look at the biggest players in the country, they've been there for hundreds of years. It's a mass produced product. There's no romance, there is no authenticity, so that's where it all started. I did tons of research, and I realized what we and another thing, that it was a typical mom and pop setup. We have these four masala chakkis which are owned by my grandfather, right? So that came in handy. So I realized, wait, everything, all the ingredients are there. Like, I have these chakkis, my mom is making these fantastic blends. What am I doing creating other brands? Let me actually create a brand for my mom, and hopefully make her the masala queen someday of country. So that's how it all started, and I realized that um, I cannot compete with Everest of the world. There's no chance. I want to become a me too, and that's exactly why the recipes that we curate, they come from every single exotic location of India. Like, I have the Maharashtrian Goda masala, which comes from Khandesh, a very small part in Maharashtra. You can make fantastic misal with it, right? We make meat curry masala, but it comes from Malvan, from the coast of Konkan. And our biryani masala is also Awadhi biryani masala. So we literally went about, curated these recipes, did tons of research. And another great thing about us is that we don't mass produce, grind our spices. We are artisanal. We hand pound, like how our granny used to use the stone tool to pound it. That's exactly how we first dark roast it, and then we pound it. And I feel like I became a entrepreneur thanks to my mom, but it is her dream that I really want to make possible. And along with it, fortunately, this pandemic has been great for us. We started off online because my background is digital, so we captured pretty much the entire online market. We were selling even globally through Amazon all across the world. But then the pandemic hit, and we had to explore offline. And touch wood, today we have exclusive distributorship in Bombay and in Pune, while we are bootstrapping. So not bad. Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Awesome. Bianca, you're muted.
I was saying it's fantastic to be among such talented ladies. The stories are absolutely interesting. Well, I double majored with chemistry and food technology. So, something that I wanted to venture in was having my own wellness center. But somehow that didn't happen, and I landed up, taking up modeling, and I went on to become a model, post which I decided to give it a shot for an audition for a music channel, which was Channel V back then in the year 1998. And yes, I went on to become a VJ with Channel V for the next 3 years. So after my stint with modeling, I was like, there's still something missing. I need to travel. I don't want to be just glued in a studio. Of course I had travel, but I wanted to travel, which is when I went on to become a flight attendant, and flew for about 10 years in the industry. But then again, that was a very stagnant job. It was just very mundane, and I would literally come back home being very upset about the mundane job that I was doing as a flight attendant. I knew that there was something else that I was cut out for, but I couldn't put a finger on it. So my dad said to me, don't worry, we'll think about what you can do. And once while watching TV, he just said, why don't you do makeup, Bianca? And I was like, wow, that's a fantastic idea, because I absolutely love doing makeup. And all through my career, being a model, a VJ, a flight attendant, there was makeup all through. And he definitely saw that I love doing makeup. So he said, why don't you do it? But, my funds being a flight attendant wasn't enough to support such a huge course abroad, which is when he, supported me and funded my makeup course, got me a makeup kit, and I started off with my journey with makeup. And he told me, he said, why don't, when you become a little more famous in the field of makeup, one day probably you would do famous faces like Priyanka Chopra. And he literally said this, he literally said her name. And he was ill during that time. So a week after my father passed away, I actually landed up doing Priyanka Chopra's makeup. And that was something that hit me. I was like, wait, what's going on? I've just done an A-list celebrity. I've just finished my course. What's going on? And I really didn't know. It was a surprise for me. And yes, my makeup, I knew was good. It was on the very minimal side, minimal glam. And I landed up doing faces like Sania Mirza, Sachin Tendulkar, Diya Mirza, and so on and so forth. And the journey has been absolutely amazing. I right since the year 2015 to date, I've been the head of the makeup and hair department for Femina Miss India as well as Miss India Universe. And so the journey, of course, I have completed another 10 years with makeup, an absolutely fantastic journey doing destination weddings from Paris to Vietnam to Kenya to Singapore to tons of beautiful places, of course, in our own country. Absolutely enjoyed the journey. And when the pandemic hit me, I was somebody. Of course, I need to mention another thing is that about a decade ago, when my husband was also in the airline with me, and my son is about 13 years old. So when he was little, he found me stepping out of the home so often, the business doing well. I wasn't at home at all. I was only traveling, and my son was little. So I literally told him, I said, is there a possibility that you could take a backseat and probably manage my business for me? And if you don't want to be part of the stagnant airline business. And he too didn't like it very much, and he was most happy. So my husband is a stay-at-home dad, who's raised, I can proudly say, who has raised my son like by himself, and let me be in the forefront doing my makeup and traveling and stuff. So when the pandemic actually hit, I was like a monkey on hot bricks at home. I was like a ferret running around saying, I need to do something. There's something that I want to do. But I, again, didn't think of what can I do at home. I work in a business which needs me to work in a very close proximity to clients. Like I'm doing makeup, this is my client, and I'm so close. So there you go. My business is kaput right now. So what do I do? But then, I was somebody who knew 5 years ago that someday I want to set up my own online business and start up with my own beauty brand. So in the initial 3 or 4 weeks of the pandemic setting in, I was thinking, should I launch a beauty brand? What should I do? The world is closed. I don't have the opportunity to connect with a lot of people because everybody is at home. But then, I started researching and Googling and doing a lot of research for manufacturers on product, on beauty products, which is when I actually started the brand. And I knew that there was a gap in hygiene in the beauty industry. So we all use our hand sanitizers for our hand, but there was nothing really for our makeup products. I mean, you always opening up a lipstick, putting on your lipstick, putting it back, using a lip gloss wand, using a mascara wand, and you always have facial oils. So there's a transfer of facial oils from your product back into the actual product. So there's a sort of cross contamination. So to avoid that, I launched India's first cosmetic sanitizing label. And Code Beauty was hence born.
Amazing. I mean, we've had some very, very inspiring stories out of all of you. And as I understand it, all of you helmed your stories from the ground up, your businesses from the ground up. And, you all started small. Of course, you're all very accomplished. But the way was to, sprout small and then grow into something bigger. So, there are industries of scale and there are businesses that are, operating on a very, very large basis. Compared to that, are there some positives to starting small and, being in a niche market, as all of you are there some benefits to that when you compare it to a scale industry? We can have anybody answer.
So I'd like to say something. Fashion is such a big industry. Even the other products that we, try and showcase on our platform, they're part of a really, really massive multi-billion-dollar industry. And sometimes, at least initially, I used to wonder whether it was smart and wise enough to try and build something that would be competing with the bigger brand names online. But my experience has been that being a solopreneur, I can do things my way. I have complete control over the quality, the customer experience, the curation of the products. I make sure payments are made to vendors on time. I'm extremely particular about that because I've had clients while consulting who struggled with the bigger brand names not paying them. And these are all small brands feeding into the bigger brand names, right? So there were things that, there were gaps that I had identified over the past few years working, supporting these small brands. And I had always wanted to build a platform that would help them grow. I just feel that there is enough pie in the market for everybody. I believe that we can all grow together. And, the most commonly used hashtag on our social media is women supporting women, because I feel that when, women make up their mind to do something and they say, okay, I'm going to help a friend or I'm going to help another brand, I think amazing things can happen. And I've seen that in my short career. And I think that the one pro that comes across the most with a smaller scale brand is the personalization, the attention to detail, and the customer service. I'm sure across all the brands that are on the panel today, we can all say that customer service, because we are directly in contact, or we are maybe 1 degree away from in contact with the client, we can step in, we can, cross reference, we can, we can also. So I have clients I have moms who message me at 2 a.m. in the night saying, I have a teething child, I don't know what to do, should I use a particular kind of product? And I'm up and I'm messaging them, and they're like, when do you sleep? What do you do? But the passion of being able to help so many amazing people buy the right product, making an informed decision, is what drives me to do, what I do. And when I see the artisans that I'm actually impacting, ensuring that the arts, crafts sustain and survive even across this pandemic, it just makes my life more enriched. And knowing that my website's actually dedicated to my daughter. She turned 1, and on her first birthday I launched the website, and I just want to do everything I can so that she looks back and says, hey mom, I know women don't need to be just stay at home moms. They can stay at home and they can do amazing things and raise children. Of course, family support is very important for it, and I have amazing support from husband, parents, in-laws. But I just want her to know that women can do anything they set their mind to, and every single day that whatever I do is with that in mind, that I want to make sure women believe, women achieve, empower, enable, and educate. That's it. That's what we do. So yeah, I think there are a lot of pros of being a small term business.
Absolutely. I mean, very well said, Aarti. And, such empowering stories is what is inspiring more women to step into business and establish themselves on their own. Anybody else would like to add to that?
Yeah. Honestly, for me, in the 2.5 years of being in the business, one of the biggest advantage to start small is that you are absolutely close to your customer, because your cloud to when you start, your cloud of your customer is smaller, and then you ensure that you deliver your 200%. And while you're listening to them, it's not, you're listening to them, you're listening to the feedback, and the journey has just been focused towards how do I give the best quality that they can serve on the table, right? Like, to me, the biggest delight is when the woman or the man, whoever is cooking and putting food on the table, and the rest of them go, wow, how did you make this? And we literally, that is the only experience I want to serve them at the end of the day. And I'm very happy to say that at least 40% of our customer base is a repeat customer, only for the sheer quality. Once they have it, they swear by it. And that's the only reason that made me get into the business. So the advantage of starting small is that you get to listen to your customer, you can create your own tribe, and like Aarti mentioned, you can definitely change rapidly, you can evolve constantly, which big brands can't do it. Yeah, so customization, tons of personalization. There are women who call and tell me, listen, I'm allergic to this ingredient, can you actually remove that? And we can do it, so yeah, that's definitely a big learning. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi.
Nikki, yeah, yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both the Aartis, what they mentioned about the size of the business. Yes, personalization and customization is very much possible at the scale, at a smaller scale than for a multinational company. So in our case, if you're doing chocolates, what we can do is very different from what a lint can do. Of course, both have their own pros and cons. But if someone tells us that oh, we have a wedding and we want to make a box of chocolates dedicated to the bride and groom, or we want certain kind of personalization of names on the chocolate or packaging, all of that is possible when you have complete control over your brand, over your product, over your packaging. So I think that definitely stands as a very big advantage. And also being a small, medium scale and not an industrial unit is that we at NTC, we can handcraft, we can hand paint each and every piece of chocolate, which is not possible otherwise. And since there is so much strict control, being a small enterprise, each and every piece of chocolate goes through the hands and eyes of expert chocolatiers before it actually reaches the client. So I feel that definitely is a big advantage over starting big.
Right. Bianca, you wanted to say something?
Yes. So what I wanted to say was that, after being in the industry for such a long time and being out of home and not actually spending time with the family is when I decided to have an online business, more so that I can spend more time with family, because I felt that there was so much on my plate and I didn't want to have tons on my plate that I couldn't handle myself. So which is when I wanted to say, let me start small, let me just go online and have people buying my product online whilst I can still be home and spend time with the family, because I didn't want to be consumed only by my career and then just lose out on family and being with my son, being with my husband, being with the entire family, of course. So yes, I do agree again with Aarti when she mentioned there's a slice of pie for everybody in the industry is something that we don't need to worry about. There is something for everybody, and it's just about lifting each other up in the industry. And of course, being small scale has such a big advantage that you have complete control over the quality of the product. So that's something that you do not want to compromise on. And yep, that's exactly what I did starting small.
Right. Uh, Ranjani, you had something to that?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much what everyone had to say, and the customization and the level of personalization you can do when you're a smaller brand, and also I think when it's I think as Aarti Kapoor also mentioned, when you're a business person and you're an artist, there's always which one do you sort of lean towards a little more. So I think when it's a small brand, it's easier to be more of an artist and less of a business person, because you're more focused on the product and how it comes out than the commercial aspect of it. And the commercial aspect always comes because once word of mouth spreads and you start small, you're not you're not just focusing on expanding and building, like say like a franchise and having different stores everywhere. It's more about quality products, even if it's fewer in number, but making sure each of that leaves a lasting impact with that wedding, because weddings are also so emotional and personal. So something like this, I think, has a longer lasting connect with the audience, and it gradually grows into a larger enterprise also. But I feel like somewhere to keep the roots strong and keep it closer to what it authentically started off with is very important. Yeah, I think that's what it helps. It helps if you have control over it, and if it's a smaller
Absolutely. And I think, what this also indicates is that, it's a positive way of women to start out by having even more agency over small businesses. And that gives a big boost to the empowerment that, they can claim in the industry. So I think, there are certain challenges in the field of small business, but once you get the hang of it, once you learn the basics of, how to handle your own business, where you want it to go, it's pretty easily navigable, and you take each day.
Yeah.
But as far as digital platforms are concerned, do you think the digital revolution, the digital space that you guys occupy, has it helped to uplift your businesses in a way that would not have been possible probably offline?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the people that are on my platform selling and buying. We have artisans in the remotest parts of India, really small villages who are uh, hand painting lamps, hand block printing dohas, making beaded jewelry, who have barely got a normal mobile phone, not even like, they're now learning to use WhatsApp. And, that's something that we're doing. We're also mentoring them to adapt. And then on the other hand, we have women who are new moms who obviously would not be able to step out to buy things for their children because of, health and safety issues in this given scenario. And they have a host of products that they can browse within 20 minutes. They know exactly what they want. They can share, discuss, review, recommend. And that's only possible because it's a digital platform. It's also very good because it brings about transparency. The old mom and pop stores can sometimes price things the way they want to, offer a discount, not offer a discount. Whereas I think when you're online, it's still a very competitive environment. So while we are solopreneurs, we're a small organization, we're a small brand, and we have artisanal products. We also offer products that are available on the bigger platforms, and therefore we compete with those bigger platforms. And it just pushes us and inspires us to do more, innovate, and think faster and quicker and more efficiently. And I think that's only possible because of that digital platform that we have access to today.
Right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think for us, the only platform that has worked is digital. We started off online, and while we launched 5 products, I definitely realized, okay, digital will help you tons of brand awareness and discovery, but there is still no scale in terms of business, right? There's only so much you can sell on Amazons and your own platforms. So then when we wanted to get into general trade and some of the supermarkets like Heiko, Nature's Basket, etc., we had to go offline. But even for that, we had to look out for distributors, which we found through digital. Most of them we have discovered on digital, and then we have closed, the deals. And honestly, we recently launched about. This is a really interesting story. We recently launched about 6 new products, and I did not have the money to do a mass reach awareness campaign, have hoardings like how I wish. So I'm like, what is the way in which I can at least get some kind of awareness, like to tell people, look, we've launched 6 fantastic products. So we made these beautiful hampers with a really nice note, and we gave it to the top actresses who love cooking. Yeah, with the hope that maybe someone, if they like it, give us a shout out. And literally all of them did. And in fact, through them, Malaika Arora DM'd us. So many of them DM'd us saying, how can I, Meera Kapoor, how can I find your spices, where can I buy it? And that was the hack. So when you don't have the resources, I feel somehow digital will help you find ways in which you can hustle around and figure things out. So there's a hack for everything if you know how to use digital wisely. And my brand, I'm very proud to say, has only been built thanks to digital media. 100%.
Amazing. I think we are a little hard pressed for time, so we just close with the last question, and please, anybody, feel free to answer. I'm sure having your own businesses has made you, far more financially independent than any of you were, would have been previously, because having your own business comes with a lot of responsibility as well as a lot of liberation, on how to handle your own economical pockets. And how has, if just a closing line from each of you on how financial independence has helped in your journey of empowerment, and if it has enhanced yourself, your sense of individuality. Anybody, we could go around, starting with Ranjani maybe.
So I think it's definitely it did start off with a little bit of because you're used to a steady income, so it takes time to get used to. There are seasons where your income is really good, and then there are off seasons as well. But gradually, as the brand grows, your brand becomes more premium. You're able to charge that sort of fee that also compensates for the next 1 year also. That I think is very liberating. It is a process that takes some time to get there. But once you do, I think it took me like 5 years now, where I can confidently say that it would have taken me probably 20 years in the software industry to make the amount that I'm making now. But it's taken a lot to get to this, and it did have those challenges where there were months where I'm like, okay, I'm just like counting pennies. I'm like, will I be able to sustain it for the next few months, sort of thing. But yeah, I think I can confidently say now that it's been worth that effort.
Awesome.
So I'd like to say that while it's liberating to be financially independent, it comes with its own set of challenges. And I know someone asked right now on the chat as well, what are the challenges that one faces? I feel that being responsible for your team members, making sure that you have managed your funds in a way that you can make payouts on time, make vendor payouts, because that's another thing that we are very particular of, is making sure that we make the payouts on time, is a challenge, because small businesses have so many things they need to do at the same time. Funds are limited, and I come from a background where I worked on a project that was funded, and I walked away from that knowing that there are some benefits of running it the way I want to. And I just feel that digital and small businesses have a lot more expenses that have to be met immediately and have to be self-funded, and the family has to actually support you at that point in time. And it's very important to know what are the kind of expenses you'll have in, say, the first 2 or 3 years, because as a consultant, I tell all my women entrepreneurs that I consult and help, is that it takes minimum 3 years for a business to actually start breaking even and showing you that kind of money, or your brand to be established enough where you say, okay, now I'm not that stressed about the funding. And anyone who wants to embark on this journey needs to have a very clear plan as to, okay, I'm not going to get a salary in hand at the end of the month, but I will maybe be paying people at the end of the month. So where's that money going to come from? And that becomes a very important part of establishing whether your business will be successful, or you'll have to wrap it up, because funds are important at that point in time.
Right. Anybody else? Very quickly. I think we're over time. Yeah, Bianca.
So, with my business, there was definitely no investor that I wanted on board as well. And I wanted to make do with whatever income that I had saved with, to launch Code Beauty. And my family background has just been people who, my mother working in a bank, my dad used to be with the airline. So there was definitely nobody that I had who had, any who was business minded. It was only me who said that, let me get into some sort of business. So that there was definitely a lot of challenges. Somebody from a business background knows the jargon, knows the way to, maneuver themselves. But it was very, very tough for me. And, when I was a flight attendant, it was very difficult because money didn't come easy. You had to use your money towards only the important things like the household groceries and the important bills. So there was just not money to buy any of the big appliances. And I remember getting things, getting a bank loan, or buying things on an EMI, which was very tough. But today, and I would say everybody should just dare to dream and dare to dream big, because it is just so possible. So what I did is I just took my phone and I made a to-do list. I just made a bucket list, and I said I want to do number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm happy to say I've ticked off 10 out of 10 because I dared to dream. So I would definitely say, yes, there are challenges. There are going to be challenges for everyone. So as small as you are, and you might have nothing, but it is important to just dream big, and absolutely, as cliched as it might sound, to believe in yourself, and it's going to be absolutely possible. Because today I'm happy to say, I don't want to boast, but I'm happy to say, okay, I have my 2 homes, which I have bought just with the makeup career that I have. I could buy a phone without thinking. I could buy a particular bag, and all the luxuries that one wants, that a girl wants, or what all the luxuries that a girl wants for their families, or their their to give to their parents or give to their children, is all the luxuries that I'm blessed and grateful and thankful that I have today, only because I dared to dream.
Amazing. Aarti, Nikki, any quick closing comments?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it has not been that not been that easy, to be very honest. Even till now, I've had to have a day job. So that I could use that money and I could pump in Masala Tokri, and I have literally my packaging to everything that we have created has always been like my day hustle, and this is my main plan A. Now I feel like I have finally come to a space where I don't need to have a day job anymore, because the business is running, because I did not take a single penny out of the business, right? So it has been fantastic. Honestly, it did not even feel like uh, it did not even feel like a struggle somehow. I don't know, when you do something like when it's your own creation, it doesn't feel like that. So that way, yeah, it has not been easy, but it has been fun. Yeah, 100%.
Nikki?
Yeah. So for me, in fact, I was listening to Bianca's story of how no one in her family was in the business. Well, I got married into a family of businessmen where, you know, they would know all the, jargons and how and the financial aspects of business. And I was completely unaware of it. And when I decided to start this business, my father-in-law said that you have to take a loan. And I said, okay, now taking a loan, and it's a big responsibility. Even though you have the liberty to spend the money where you want to spend, and you are the decision maker, I think it involves a lot more responsibility when you have an interest going out every month. So for Entisi, it's been 3 years. Exactly now, we've completed 3 years, and like Aarti said, it takes 3 years for a business to sort of settle, and which is what I call 1,000 moons. It takes 1,000 moons for the business to settle, and for you to understand exactly what works and what does not work for you. And I am at that stage now, and our company is at that stage now where we are financially a lot more stable than what we were. But I think. Liberty, yes, but I think the responsibility is a lot more when you have the payments going in, out, and you need to make give your salaries, payments, everything on time. I think that's quite a big aspect of the business.
Awesome. I think, the best part, and I think the most important part of it all is that you're all having so much fun running your own businesses. And, there is just so much space to, you have covered, and there is still a long way to go. And it's going to be so exciting and creative for everybody. And there is just so much scope for creation. I had a fabulous time talking to all of you. So I think we have to close now. And thank you all panelists for being here with me this morning. And it was so enriching, and I think most enriching Friday morning of my life. And thank you all of you. I hope you all keep at it, and I hope this inspires a lot more women to enter the entrepreneurial field. Thank you everybody for being with us.
Thank you so much, Tanvi. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I was 13 when I started my first venture.
हमेशा पता था कि कुछ अपने आप करना है और अपने बलबूते पे खड़ा होना है.
1400 viewers, you're actually making a social impact in a huge way.
Every second day feels like something's going to break, and that's just a part of being an entrepreneur. But I think the one thing that I've learned is you have to persist.
My brand talks about clothes which are 2-in-1.
I said, no, I'm manager, I'm owner, I'm everything. And they just looked at me and said, you, aapke husband off ho gaye?
The Indian economy is going through some sort of a slowdown. What's going to change it? I said the minute you start looking at how women are a huge market and